Hi, I'm Jamie Ford, and I'm here at Woodstock Academy, and I'm here to talk about my first book, Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, and my latest release, Songs of Willow Frost.
Who's on Facebook? Who's on Twitter? Who's on Instagram? Who's not on anything? How are those 8-track tape collections coming?
I tend to write complicated family stories, and I tend to write, for lack of a better term, love stories. Stories with strong emotions. And so we'll talk a little bit about the backstory to Hotel and the inspiration for Willow Frost, and maybe even about what I'm working on now. Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet it's a bit of a noble romantic tragedy. It's the story of a young boy, young Chinese-American boy, who was sent to an all-white private school after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And there he meets Keiko, who's a young Japanese-American girl. And they have a very simple affection. And so it's this story of the two of them. It's about different cultures, different races, but it's set amid the Japanese internment. And ultimately, Henry and Keiko are separated, so it becomes a story of long-lost love. Songs of Willow Frost is set in Depression-era Seattle, and at its core, it's a mother and son story. It's a story of William, and he's an orphan, and he's living in Seattle's Sacred Heart Orphanage, and he's been led to believe that his mother has passed away, and they take the orphans on this outing, their big day out. They go to see a silent film, and he sees an actress on screen that he recognizes as his mother, and so it's a story of him leaving the orphanage and trying to find out the truth about his past, and it's also the story of his mother and how they came to be separated. And it's really a story designed to break your heart. It's a little bit sadder than Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, but I always say it's my obligation as an author that if I do break your heart, it's also my mission to put the pieces back together again. The success is a little absurd, honestly. Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet was the #1 book in Norway for 4 months. And no one ever sets out to read a book and just thinks, oh yeah, this is going to kill in Norway. You know, it's so bizarre. It's kind of like raising a child. They go off into the world and you hope they'll do okay, but you never expect them to really cure cancer, you know, that kind of thing. So the new book is set in Seattle between the two World's Fair. So it's set between 1909 and it will end up around 1959. And the main character begins his journey at that first World's Fair in 1909, and they had themed days, and every day they gave something away based on that theme. So on an agricultural day, they give away a bushel of wheat, or they raffle off a cow, and one day they actually raffled off a child. They raffled off a 6-month-old boy who was donated by the Washington Receiving Home. And no one knows what happened to this child, and so I've been making up his story. My advice to any aspiring author, it's twofold. One is, while you're writing, while you're in the thick of writing, if you have a favorite author, don't read that author while you're writing. And I say that because I equate that to trying to lose weight while reading beauty magazines. You'll die a death of comparison, and so don't do that. And this is something that someone said to me, and it was really helpful, and it's really cheap advice. He said, go to a garage sale and buy 3 books for like a nickel a piece, the most dreary, cheesy, out-of-print books you can find, and force yourself to read them with a writer's perspective, and you'll catch all these mistakes. You'll catch lapses in point of view, and you'll just catch lazy writing. You'll catch all kinds of things, and then when you go back to write your own story, you'll catch yourself if you ever veer into one of those areas. So, and that's an exercise that I did myself, and it was really helpful.